Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at him.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Hello and welcome everybody to the legendary Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, a circuit where history, speed, and precision collide. Nestled in the Italian countryside, this narrow and technical track is one of the ultimate tests for GT3 machinery. With unforgiving curves, rapid elevation changes, and iconic corners like Tamburello, Acqua Minerale, and Ravazza, drivers will need absolute commitment to stay fast and mistake-free. Tonight, the Breaking Bad GT3 League takes on this classic venue where strategy, patience, and precision will decide who conquers Imola. One wrong move here can end your race, but a perfect lap can be pure magic. Sit back and get ready. GT3 action at Imola is about to begin, and this race is sponsored to you by Maxim Motorsports. Thank you very much to the title sponsor of tonight, Maxim Motorsports, engine building and tuning, dyno services, and on-track support, as well as driver coaching available to you at a ready call and notice. Contact Maxim Motorsport for all of your go-kart racing needs, folks. Let's go ahead and check out the points, but first, let's go ahead and introduce my co-commentator. It's going to be me, Sagar Bocci. Joined with me in the booth is going to be Steven Kernick. Steven, how are you feeling tonight as we look at the points?
Absolutely excited, because after seeing what could have been done at Monza, well, it's really shown how the points are just so close with the racing. Let's take a look at our GT3 Pro-Am first before we head on to the big boys. It is Kenneth Cochran, who is the leader on 133 points. He's got Oliver Brooks, Kobe Brooks in third place. We've got Forrest Abraham in fourth, Francois Peralt going in rounding in fifth, Marshall Dodden, Nicholas Lawrence Paul, along with James Clark, Chet Miller, and Owen Huffleton, rounding out our top 10 in the GT3 Pro-Am. That was nose to tail in round one.
Absolutely glued to each other in round one. In the GT3 Pros, it's just as tight. Jed Cotterman leads in front of Kyle Smith, Cole Malley in third, Carl Ross in fourth, Leeson Young Dilworth in fifth, Kyle Dersham in sixth, Josiah Kelly, Jean Voigt, Roberto Perez, and Rafael Rodriguez round out the 10.
Now, to go from Monza to Imola is definitely a tricky one. You've gone from high-speed corners to, well, one mistake meets you with a wall. A track that opened in 1953. It is a famous but also lives in infamy of the circuit. It is 3.0 kilometers long, so not too big. It's just right, with 19 corners to deal with. Many of the drivers are going to start to think of what they need to do as they have to tackle Variante Alta, where most of the track limits start to build up, and such as Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2, perfect for passing opportunities. But it is easily forgotten that when we start the race, turn 2, turn 3 is a hard braking zone, and with cold tires and cold brakes, you land up going into the kitty litter more than not. So the drivers have to be rather cautious for the start of the race. Otherwise, they risk throwing the entire round away.
You're absolutely right. Imola, you have to understand the technical layout of it. It's very, very tricky for the drivers to have to negotiate because it's a very tight, technical, and flowing circuit with a mix of heavy braking zones, quick transitions, and mixed speed corners. It rewards precision more than outright power, meaning mistakes will cost you a lot more. The heavy braking spots that you talked about, like Variante Tamburello and Variante Alta, require firm but balanced braking. Getting that entry right is critical. The high-speed flow, like Ravazza Complex, demands stability under load and smooth throttle application, but you can still go side by side through it.
That's it, but you can't take away from the sausage curbs that lie around the circuit. Yes, you're in a GT3, you're not as low as your sports cars, but hit one of those, you're going to most certainly go and ramp these cars up, losing a little bit of control on the steering, and they can land up in a world of hurt. So the drivers have to be rather close to the sausage curves to make the corners proper, but if you go a little too far, you may be visiting the kitty litter or inspecting your partner's doors. That being said, qualifying underway at the moment. Drivers looking to put a good time on, and so far, top of the leaderboard is likes of João Baptista, who is at the moment with a 1 minute 41.1. Corey Jones in second place with a 1 minute 41.4. And I've got to say, this is just absolutely madness. But I don't want to take away from the likes of Frank Peralt, who's currently first in the Pro-Am class, lying fourth on overall track at the moment.
Fourth overall on track. Let's see if Ron Blackwell can get it stitched together. And the final stages of qualifying, that last lap round would be a 2:02, so not indicative of their best. But when we look at the pro category, we have 9 drivers. I'll say that again. We have 9 drivers within 6/10 of the leader right now. Now, outright pace will not be everything here at a track like Imola. Now, Kyle Smith throws it down. We have 10, no, make that 11 drivers into that 140, 141 mark as Cole Malley brings it home as well, bringing more and more lap times down into that 140, 141 mark. Everybody in that of first 11 drivers down into the 141.9 or lower mark. Absolute phenomenal. That includes Frank Perot in the amateur category.
And I just got to point out that like Carl Ross out of nowhere, a 1 minute 40.9 in the Chev, making it an All-American 1-2-3 at the moment. Chev, Ford, and Chev going and fighting it out. But, I mean, a 140.9. Who can beat that time? The likes of Baptista is going to do everything he can to try and get that little bit of distance to see if he can go the extra route. But it is definitely a tight fight for our pro class, sitting from 1st to 10th. Then we've got Frank running in 11th position overall. He's got Kobe Brooks behind him. That will be looking to try and close the distance. And then we got Kern Madro, who is up into 11th position for his class, and will split the Pro-Am. And there he is out on circuit in the Ford Mustang, just giving it everything he can to charge his way to the sharp end, and in wanting to ensure that he starts in the top 5.
And that would be critical for a driver like Keon Maduro driving this 88 Ford Mustang, coming through what is Tosa, turn 7 right now before we get up the hill to turn 8, and we chuck it into turn 9 to Paratella. This would be an excellent look at how much curbing that Keon Maduro takes. Not too much, not too little, just in that Goldilocks range. And then I want to look at this angle again through Aqua Minerale. How much of the exit curbing is he using? Almost none of it there for the braking zone, telling me he's really kind of on a cool-down lap right now and not pushing as hard as I think he might possibly want to in the final stages of this qualifying. Do you get the same feeling or not so much?
Trying out a different line, just keeping things a little bit more shallow. Not as aggressive, but finding that might have been losing just a little drive. drive. So concentrating on corner entry over corner exits, just to see if he could get a little bit more pace underneath him. And coming out through Variante 1 and Variante 2, he's utilizing all the curves to try and get the drive out. So possibly trying out a different form of attack to see if that's going to move him up through the field. But for Maduro, let's see if it's going to work out in his favor as he comes across the line. Unfortunately, Maduro unable to improve on that last lap. Did a 142.132. Will still sit in 12th overall, and that will be him done and dusted for his qualifying. 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go. Not many drivers left out on circuit to do their final qualifying runs. This is Carl Smith in the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo as he tries to do it every bit he can. Runs out very wide. Turn 3 esports car. Gonna absolutely send it for the last run to the line. Can he get out in 9th position and get into the top 5? Carl going and absolutely hammering it. Gets across the line. And his last lap time was a 1 minute 41.6. Unable to move up out of that 9th place, but it is absolutely close to the likes of John Ford, who sits with a 1 minute 41.658, to the likes of Kyle's 1 minute 41.669.
Now, while that is his personal best, it'll leave him in 9th position overall in the class as well. The number 55 of Kyle Smith. Love to see the liveries that the drivers are pulling out for this event. We've seen so many flashy ones, but this one being from the Turn 3 Motorsports Club, if I'm not mistaken. Turn 3 Esports, excuse me for the miscall there. But yes, I mean, just a beautiful looking livery, and you can see the endurance lights just glowing here in the morning light that we have here at Imola in Bologna, Italy. Like you said, a track length of 3 miles or 4.9 kilometers. I still don't know what a kilometer is. We have 111 feet of elevation change. That really comes from the natural terrain here at Imola. It's quite interesting that the track was normally public roads and was converted into racetracks later on, much like what we did in America with Daytona, Pebble Beach. I mean, you could just name any track in the United States, and it was probably made because there was some illegal road racing going on nearby.
You say illegal road racing, I would say more suggestions of how to go quicker. I do want to point out that we had a number of drivers that wasn't able to set a lap time, the likes of Dennis Crosby, Jacob Cotterman, Jeffrey Davies, Rafael Rodriguez, and Christopher Adams weren't able to set a time in their respective classes. And in qualifying, that means they're going to be starting right at the back of the field. And we'll have to just take a look at what needs to be done to move forward. I've got to say, not an easy thing to do, to go and decide that you're going to rather wait it out, especially considering how competitive the race is. But at the moment, Frank Peralt goes and leads out with Kobe Brooks and Oliver Brooks holding on to 3rd place from that qualifying. And they will be looking to fight it out in the AM class. They've got the likes of Faraz Abro and Benny McCurdy, Chet Miller, Philip Kelly, Nicholas Paul, James Clark, and Robert Nelson will be right there in the top 10. Jeffrey Owen Hudson, Jesse Chase, Tony Miller, Ron Blackwell, Christopher Adams going top 16 for our GT3 app.
In the GT3 Pro category, it'll be Carlos Jean-Baptiste Jet Cotterman from Cotterman Racing, Cole Malley, Corey Jones, LaShawn Young Dilworth from Odyssey Motorsports, Roberto Perez, John Voigt, Kyle Smith, Kyle Desherm, Keon Maduro, surprisingly down in 11th place, Jamie MacArthur, Jack Clark, TJ Yankee, Doug Betts, Jeffrey Davis, Rafael Rodriguez, Dennis Crosby, and Jacob Cotterman rounding out the drivers in the pro category. But we have to wrap up the results very quickly because we have to talk to someone special here tonight. Let's go ahead and see if they're ready to talk to us. We're waiting for Kobe Brooks, and he is here. Let's go ahead and talk to Kobe Brooks. Kobe Brooks, you are one of the sponsors of this league, and you work for Technically Gifted. Is that correct?
That is beyond correct. I'm excited to be here chatting with you guys.
I'm excited to learn about Technically Gifted. We weren't given much information, so feed us everything that you got about your company and what you do.
Hey, Technically Gifted is a brand that's here to create calm, collective websites, but really our main product is Circle on the Apple App Store. It's a music for your mood application. I suggest everybody go download it. It's a quiet corner on the internet. Brand new. The world needs it. We're here to freaking solve that purpose.
Heck yeah. And can I ask you a personal question is, why did you feel like it was appropriate, or why did you want to get involved with the Breaking Bad League and advertise your business?
Look, Jed Cotterman does a great job talking to the drivers, getting everybody on the same page, showing up week in and week out, but also giving us nice, hard, clean racing. Important word there is clean. Breaking Bad is a great community to be a part of, but also great racing. And I want my brand to be a part of that and support that and keep pushing that forward in the sim racing world.
And that's exactly the question. The loaded question I asked, and the answer I needed to hear was, it's because we want to grow the sim racing community, right? It's small groups, organizations like yourself and Technically Gifted that promote leagues like this to get the branding that they deserve, and just the showcasing of your skills like you talked about. The driving from round one was unbelievable. I could not believe we had a clean turn one at Monza last week, and now we're going to have the same result at Imola. I can only imagine so why not put it on the big stage? Kobe, I want to ask you more about your company, but you tell me what you would like to see from this sponsorship.
Yeah, honestly, just continuing to grow the partnership here with Breaking Bad and the Commissioner Jed. Like I said, great league. I think what makes it even better than the racing is the community, the conversations that all the grid has outside of the races is amazing. It's really tight-knit, and it rivals that of real racing garages, and I think that's exactly what you want from a sim racing community.
I think you just put the nail on the head as well of what makes a good sim racing community. It's just a group of guys that want to hang out and talk shop, talk about the sim, talk about their rigs, and you want a community that you happen to get along with, find same purpose or value with, and a sense of belonging. And when you get a group like that, you kind of reach the critical needs of a human being. Not to get spiritual on you, but it resonates at a different level, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I love how you said it resonates with the needs of a human being. That's exactly what the products that Technically Gifted make tries to do, is meet the basic needs of human interaction, community building. It's amazing that the sim racing community can do that alongside Technically Gifted. I also want to say something that speaks volumes to what the community has done is the fact that LaShawn Young's Dillsworth has done multiple paints on the grid. You'll see that the Circle Technically Gifted cars both use his paints. And yeah, it's amazing, the community. Can't say anything better.
Thank you so much for joining us in the booth, Kobe Brooks. I'll drag you back into the race chat, but thank you very much for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth tonight. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thank you for having me. Take care.
And just like that, he's disappeared out of the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. It was a quick walk back for him down to his car because it looks like he's already gridded up.
And honestly, I think listening to some of the circle reflection is the main thing to just calm down before the storm, because it's always tense when you're lining up on the grid and you know that you're in for a race and a half. You just got to settle down, get rid of the noise, concentrate on what you need to do, focus up on the race. But that being said, why don't you take us through the field?
Carl Ross and João Baptista, Jed Cotterman alongside Cole Malley in row number 2. Row number 3 belongs to Corey Jones and LaShawn Young Dilworth, the livery designer and maker himself. Row number 4 belongs to Roberto Perez and Jean Voigt in P8. Row number 5 for Kyle Smith and Kyle Descher. Take it away for row number 6.
So we've got the likes of Frank Peralta being chased down by Cohen Medoro in 12th. Then Kobe Brooks, followed by Oliver Brooks, lining up side by side. Further down, we've got the likes of Faraz, Abraham, Jamie MacArthur in P16. Further down, we've got Bernard McCurdy and Jack Clark ready to have a battle out in row 9. Row 10 is Chet Miller along with TJ Yankee in 20th position.
In 21st.
And Bernard in 21st and 22nd position. But over to you.
Nicholas Paul and James Clark in 24th, Robert Nelson and Jeffrey Strong in 26th. 27th position belonged to Owen Huffington, 28th to Jesse Chase. Safety car pulling in now. Doug Miller in 29th, 30th belonging to Ron Blackwell. This is going to finish up the grid here. Jeffrey Davis and Dennis Crosby. And that will round out the grid for us tonight with Christopher Adams and Rafael Rodriguez.
So, drivers at the ready, looking for the green flag. Nose to tail, round 2. Who's going to get the jump off the line? And it's all to play for here at Imola. Take a look at the bunch up at the front. Waiting. Green flag, and we are racing down towards turn 1. And it is going to be a monster between the likes of Joe and Cole, who are looking to get the jump into T1. So far, Baptista able to just eke ahead at the moment, with Cole right behind him. Jake Coleman up into 3rd. Kyle getting ahead of Harrison Dilworth, who's trying everything to get into the pack, but the entire field jostling for position. Cold tires, cold brakes, keeping the momentum.
But it's all clean on this race start for the drivers at hand. We've seen a little bumping and grinding, a little bit of paint being exchanged, but nothing gruesome and nothing to write home about. I cannot believe we are still green flag running here with a Breaking Bad lead. No one has gone off. We just lost Kobe Brooks, unfortunately. We believe to an unforeseen circumstance, a spill and thrill all on their own. No, they started in pit lane, excuse me. That's why they tumbled down. Free and clear for this race start.
Well, we spoke about the race. The only paint cups and no major faults. The circuit that usually sees lots of tears has now to really dig in and try and pick up the pace. This is where you start to think about the long game. How hard are you going to push for the start? When you're going to start considering pit stops if you need to? And the question is, who are you going to work with when you're stuck into the track? The likes of Carl Ross behind Batista, he's going to be focusing on going into the attack at this point. But any move that he has to do is going to make it work. Otherwise, it's going to foul him up, and he's going to have Jed Cotterman going right onto the back of him, and he is leading out a monster train line.
Yeah, they are already gapping the field. After just one lap, they've pulled out a 7/10 gap to the rest of them. It's João Baptista who made the jump, the bump and grind on Carl Ross early on that race start, and was able to get the move stuck. But also keep our eye on Roberto Perez, who made a jump start and gained 2 positions on the good of things for now. Jean Voigt battling with LaShawn Young Dilworth as well here. It'll be Ford Mustang versus the long-legged Lamborghini at Imola.
All working with one another, and I've got to say the V8's going and leading out over the mid-engines, but like John in that Lamborghini, there's a lot of rotation underneath him that he can utilize here at Imola. All he needs to do is just try and put that nose in, get the Mustang off the apexes, and be able to really feed the front line. Unfortunately, because just pure straight line. The difference is shown. So much torque coming out from that monstrous V8 underneath the Mustang. So, John, it's all about just getting the dive in through the corners, fouling the Mustang up, knocking him off cap, and being able to accelerate, because at the moment they're losing time to the front pack. And in the middle of the nowhere, James Clark getting overtaken, couldn't quite defend on the brakes. Now down to 25th position. He's starting to look in his rearview mirrors as well. He's losing more and more time out on the track. He's now got Rob Nelson that is closing up at a rate.
Yes, he is. It's going to be a fierce continued fight. I want to keep our eye on this battle as well between Frank Perot and Oliver Brooks. They're sitting in a little bit of traffic right now, so Perot can't really stretch his legs to get around Jamie MacArthur, who's out in front of him, who's also in a battle with Kyle Dersham right in front. So Oliver Brooks kind of has the free reign right now to just sit back and fuel save a little bit behind the Mustang GT3 in front of him. I think this might be advantage to the technically gifted machine of Oliver Brooks as number 31.
Well, use the method of explaining in the same of lots of NASCAR. Front car's at 100 horsepower, goes 100 throttle, then you work your way down. The car behind is sitting at 90 to 95. Third car in that train, you're looking at 85 to 80. And you work your way down throttle positioning. That's a huge fuel saving. But Philip Kenny, big look on the inside, didn't pay off, but is doing everything he can to try and clear Chet Miller, who goes for the inside line and hoping that as they come down the hill, he thought he could try and keep it all together, but it looked like a little bit. Philip Kelly more than happy to go and take the position. Chet's obviously decided not wanting to push too hard this early on, rather let the position go, keep on back and see where he needs to be. Phil Kelly currently running in the GT3 amp class. He's trying to catch up with him further up.
And he will be able to do so because those last laps that Kelly's been putting down have been pretty fast. 144.46 compared to the leaders in front. 145 that last time around, or 144.5 that last time around. So a little bit quicker than Jack Clark up ahead, but not by too much of a margin. But we have a very long race ahead of us, folks. 54 minutes remaining on the clock, so don't think that the action's going to change anytime soon. It was a continued battle at Monza, and it's going to be a continued battle here as we're nearly 3 wide through Piratella, the Pirates corner, and now down into Aqua Minerale. Things have to settle down, and the 33 leads the AMR, leading the AMG.
Corey Jones not having any of it right now with Carl Smith trying to move forward, but also battling to get ahead of trying to get the drive out on that Porsche, but there's just no room to get that nose leading forward ahead of Porsche. So now Corey going around the outside, going to look for a bit of a cutback, couldn't quite get it done. Will it be through Ravazza 2? Not as much as he would like. Runs out wide and now needs to just keep within the slipstream to quickly make the pass into turn 1. Everything he can in that Aston Martin. Has got to be aware that Carlson has a train building up behind him as well. So any sort of overtake needs to be perfect. Get it past, run away. You can't go and half do it. You can't really go in half cocked. You have to make the pass. Then done and clear if you want to move forward. Otherwise, one mistake and you can be sure that the time is going to try and capitalize.
I mean, we're really just talking about knowing where to take risk, overtaking, and where to protect your position. And that was not a good defensive position for the 54, as it looks like Rafael Rodriguez might get a wheel well along the inside, but he goes in deep at Piratella. So deep to protect the inside line from the 55, but it's not enough because he's there alongside going down into Aqua Minerale. It's such a compromised line for the 54, and he has to relinquish that position. The 55 AMG gets the move done.
What a pass. up and will be looking to go on attack. He's also looking to clear. So unfortunately, this is a bit of a Corey Jones, who now has to put on the left and the right.
Whoa!
Big move from John. Under braking. Can he make it stick? He does, but now is on the outside through the left-hander. And now John is doing everything he can to keep the momentum. How on earth did he stop that Lamborghini? It looked like it was going to be into the fences in no time flat.
Talk about a lick of the stamp and ascend. Here might come another one coming down the hill towards Ravazza. 2x2 we go. Hopefully not. We're settling things down, and single file becomes the order of operation. Looks like Robert Nelson leads Doug Miller in front of Jesse Chase and Christopher Adams in tow. A little bit of a change here between Corey Jones and the 7th place car of John Voight. Now we're gonna go side by side, going down in towards Tosa, and that's the 29 getting into the mix. That's John Voight in that long-legged Lamborghini, trying to challenge forward. He was just battling with Keon Maduro a couple laps ago. Now he's on for a potential podium if he keeps up this pace. Going down towards Pirates Corner of Piratel, they're going to continue that side-by-side bout, but now in Aquaminerale, you have to go defensive and protect that position. The 29 covers off the attacking blows from the 54 behind. That'll be Corey Jones and Keon Maduro lurking in the wings.
Absolutely nose to tail, no room for error. Late on the brakes, right the way through. Take a look at all the but now it's trying to move out his favor, because the last thing we want to be having to be thrown back into the onslaught. That's around you. So drivers are really fighting tooth and nail at this point. Pedro Perez further up the road.
Whoa, big spin for the 29 for John Voight there. Just got on out onto the kitty litter and spun it out, collecting a few cars, and now he backs up into the barriers to add insult to injury. A few cars collected in that, and I believe that'll be an immediate trip down pit lane for him, and potentially a few others. There goes Corey Jones down pit road as well.
Pointing in the wrong direction, then will be getting that's going to throw them way out of front. That's the whole problem about when you're so tightly packed with one another. It just takes one slip from any competitor that can change the entire race. And now you're going to have to figure out what is the game plan. How are you going to move and carry on pace? You've got Bureau at the moment trying to carry the momentum through everything he can to keep it all together and wanting to stay ahead of the pack. He's got the likes of Dilworth, who has been keeping it all together, wanting to stay in for the fight. The two were a little bit off the clock, allowed the fight to happen, and now they're back onto the chase. They've got Williams and Reed, who occasionally interviewed a flash in the fight, possibly a little bit frustrated with like Carl Smith, and more you're going to spend time going on the lights, you're thinking you're going to irritate someone, you're going to land up having these two big burly Mustangs breathing down your neck in a hurry.
Yeah, that's very, very right. But, you know, try telling a racer, or especially an oval driver, you know, to leave a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a healthy margin between you and the car in front, and I doubt they'll ever pay attention to that. Such is the matter between the 63 of Christopher Adams and Corey Jones, separated by just about nothing. At the top of the hill, that'll be Variante Alta, the high chicane, made through pretty cleanly there for Mr. Corey Jones.
Absolutely great stuff here. But now going and showing what they can do. Everything's starting to settle down, but we still got 47 minutes remaining of this race. Drivers are now going to start to consider tire life, fuel usage, and also how far are they willing to go. Start to build up a little bit of pains and aches that you may notice in your wrists, in your ankles. You'll start to build up that little bit of lactic acid in the legs, and that slowly but surely starts to bug you during the race, and you're going to have to try and put that off to one side, calm yourself down, and keep focused, especially in the sunset conditions. The drivers are taking a lot in through the eyes. As you can see, the glares coming through, and now on the screen, that is further amplified as you've just got light everywhere. Your eyes are trying to work out everything that goes on. It starts to get a little bit dry, and you will start to realize that times are getting tough, and you've just started this race, and you need to keep the focus up to move forward.
It is a lot of attrition to get through these endurance races, but the greatest reward is making it down to the checkered flag at the end of the day, because that's really what you're here for, is to just hang out with a good group of guys and have a good time, and maybe some close action-packed racing, as we see here with Kobe Brooks, Christopher Adams, and Corey Jones and Jesse Chase out in front of him right now. And it's just about a good community of people, like Kobe Brooks was talking about earlier, about technically gifted and what they're trying to achieve, as we see a little mistake there from Jesse Chase, and he'll lose a position immediately to Corey Jones, but will lose the second to Kobe Brooks, the technically gifted sponsor. I'm not so sure, but he will clatter with the wall. That will be a little briefcase for the 3-2-3, and surely that will cause some extra bit of damage that he was not anticipating for this pit stop.
Just going to put a little bit of the rainbows on the side of the wall to add a little bit of flavor here at IMOLA. But as you said, drivers looking to have a bit of fun out there, looking to move forward. We also got to see our first black flag coming in for a drive-through. Ron Blackwell went and got that as well in the GT3 AM, and it's unfortunately out at the moment on that down. But everyone's still trying to just enjoy the race, soak in the beautiful sights and sounds of IMOLA, while going and boosting around this amazing circuit. IMOLA is one of those pure driver circuits. You just feel the rhythm. You've got to keep calm, and you've just got to find your headspace out on the track. If you had to think about a symphony that's out there, when you're by yourself or you're in a little bit of a chase, there's a bit of open air, it's Beethoven. It's just relax. You are listening to the music, the symphony that's around. But as you get closer and closer to a fight, you can hear the build-up. You can hear how everyone's cheering on. The instruments, which are all the different cars, come to life. V8s, going with box of V6s, V6 turbocharged engines. There's so much that comes in, a crescendo that will get you to the very end. I've got to say, that is one of the fun parts about racing here in our GT3 class. But for Dillsworth at the moment, I think there's just a whole lot of, because it is V8, V8, V8 the whole way through.
It is all American muscle, as we like to say, and we're treading all over Italy, mounting those red, white, and green stripes here, using as much of the track as we bought and paid for. And there's a bit of a stack-up Mustang on Mustang on Mustang violence accordioning, as Keel Maduro makes a slight mistake going into the high chicane, and that resulted in Kyle Dersham getting a little poke in the rear end from Frank Perot, and Oliver Brooks gaining a little bit of ground in tow there. Now, you talked about it a few times, the symphony, the orchestra. I absolutely love to hear it, and I love to see it as well. Here's going to be a side-by-side battle between LaShawn Young Dillsworth and Kyle Dersham, and they're going to go all the way down towards turn 1, in towards turn 2. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It will be LaShawn in the 888 getting it done and parking it on the second apex. What an overtake and a move.
Sean going and trying to lead the herd at this point, and really going and fighting it out. I mean, this is absolutely mental. To try and slow these cars down right at the 50 is definitely the hardest things to do. One of the heavier of our GT3 cars that race, and at the moment, LaShawn going and making it even wider this Mustang is not going to be backing down, and Kyle all over the back, looking left and right. Remember, Kyle has gained 1 position since starting the race in the class, and now looking to make it 2. Well, LaShawn has gone down 2 positions, and he's focusing on what they need to do to keep moving forward. It's all about the championship. It's round 2. The last thing you want to do is land up throwing points away, leaving it on the table. You've got to be committed right the way through. But as these drivers push harder and harder to one another, that's going to allow the likes of Frank to close the distance down, realize they're hurting their tires, they're burning through that fuel. All that you need to do is just sit and wait. Your opportunity will come, but don't go too slow. Brooks is on his tail.
And let's not forget to check in with the race leader as well, Carl Ross, in the lead by a healthy margin, 0.8 of a second in front of João Baptista in the 03 Ford Mustang, 0.9 back around there. And then we have Jed Cotterman in the number 7. He's in 3rd place, around 4 seconds back, but he's got Cole Malley to keep him company. And I'm sure Cole Malley's got a nice warm blanket that he's just coming to Jed Cotterman and saying, come on, buddy, let's watch a movie, let's hang out, it'll be fun. And Jed's like, no, get away from me right now. Right now, Jed Cotterman resting in 3rd for that podium, and Cole Malley trying to definitely shake things up on him. Chet Miller shaking things up with Faraz Ibrahim, who spins out. Let's get a quick replay of what happened to Ibrahim.
Not a big one coming in, and this is Ibrahim. Late on the brakes, goes up wide, puts a wheel wrong, and spins out. Oh, big impact, front suspension. That is an absolute youch moment. Ibrahim is definitely going to be feeling down the steering, and the pit crew will be wanting to get every little bit of space to try and sort out that left front end completely. That's a trip through pit lane, a little bit of time, and they have to get that car back out on the track to carry on the fight right through to the very end. An old saying I love to use: if you see the green, you've got to check it no matter what. And in championships like this, just sticking it out to the very end could be that single point that you need to win or lose the championship. You'll never know unless you've done it.
Oh, 110%. And this attrition rate amongst this league has been phenomenal. We have 35 drivers in this event right now. Not a single one has dropped out yet so far. The battles have been relentless, just non-stop. And here it continues with Jed Cotterman and Cole Malley chasing him down with that warm fuzzy blanket. But here's LaShawn Young Dilworth, and there's a big wreck out in front. And is that Oliver Brooks behind? No, that'll be a back marker getting collected. Let's take a look at that wreck and see exactly what unfolded here. Keon Maduro comes through the corner and he slides all on his own and collects everybody behind the Ford Mustang of Keon Maduro. Really just unlucky there, and it was exactly the same incident we just saw just a moment ago.
Fortunate moments for drivers, but everyone trying to figure out what can they do to move forward and who's going to be able to stand on top here. The likes of Oliver Brooks, who just waits out his chance. Take a look, Dennis Crosby, easy pass, now needing to focus on the charge. Everyone starting to feel a little bit of pain here at Imola, as well, Imola's a track that will pick up all the car parts left over and will make sure to capture some treasure from every single car, every single team, and every single driver.
Imola is absolutely a phenomenal track and is definitely one to be at on my bucket list for sure. And like I was describing earlier, before it became a permanent circuit, Imola's layout was made out of public roads, which explains its old school flowing nature with massive elevation changes as Keon Maduro comes down pit road, will shake up the order to number 88, getting that damage repaired. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, of course leading to Imola's infamous where Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger lost their lives in tragic crashes. This, of course, led to major safety reforms in Formula One.
And landed up with also GT cars going and getting a relook as well due to the impacts they have. So instead of focusing on aluminium tubs and ensuring that the cars are able to move forward, well, they started looking towards carbon fiber. They looked at reinforcing, triangular reinforcing on the GT cars, because they were picking up pace as well, going back to the turbo eras that are the quattros that went from taking it onto dirt side to track side that landed up going and causing a few pains as well. Imola is one of these circuits that in infamy has become a safety standard, and to this day is an honor to race around. But you've got to know, if you're hitting this circuit, you got to be willing to leave it all on the line like the predecessors before you.
That's absolutely true. It's a flat-out demanding circuit. Yes, it is an FIA Grade 1 track, but it doesn't necessarily have the runoffs that you'd expect from an FIA Grade 1 track. It's awfully close to the walls. This isn't like Mugello. This isn't like Monza, where you're a little bit further away from danger than not. Here, you really are right up against the limits coming through every single one of these chicanes.
Another thing you've got to also think about is Imola is one of these circuits that if you get it wrong, you're not going to just get one corner out of shape. You're going to be looking at 2 to 3 corners, and soon as you've got cars around you, they're going to land up seeing you rejoining at a bit of an odd angle, coming towards apexes as well, forcing them to get offline, and it just creates a domino effect right the way through. So you just got to keep that in mind, especially when you've got two different classes out on track, from our GT3 Pro drivers to our GT3 AM drivers, mixture of driving skills all put together. You're going to have to really be considerate to your fellow driver, but also be aware to brake a little bit harder than you had to do in practice.
It's very true. Let's talk about the race strategy and something we haven't even mentioned yet, tire management. It's a very long race. We're only 25 minutes in, and we've got 34 remaining. The drivers really had to think about this early on in their stint about preserving tires early to ensure that they could put down consistent pace later on. If they pushed too hard on lap 1 through 3, they could really burn up their tires and those opportunities to really get any moves done later on, especially the fronts. So the drivers are looking to moderate their brake pressure to help reduce tire scrubbing, and it'll prolong the grip along the stint. But really, we only have a few major braking zones here, and it's very tricky to get them right under braking while trying to get the car to rotate using your trail braking, especially if you're driving something like Rexy here, or Roxy, the number 64. Porsche, it's just so difficult to get it right here. You have to be so smooth and precise with the braking, throttle, and steering, but you're also looking to prioritize your exits and momentum. How do you manage your tires and race pace over a race distance like this?
Well, it depends of where you're on. If you're in a bit of no man's land, rather do lift and coast. Try and carry the momentum in through the corners instead of thrashing it. Or if you're in the slipstream, rather just keep nice and tight and try and work your way through. The other little factor that comes in, if you go for a pit stop and change tires, it means you're going to have to then try and get heat back into that set of tires. So a lot of drivers will opt to keep the same set, especially as this late into the race, and rather just deal with what they've got and ensuring that they don't get caught out with ice cold tires that's going to throw them down nearly 3 seconds a lap, because that's the last thing you want to have, and having to fight your way through as a number of drivers will start to feel.
Now we're at about the halfway point of the race. We're not quite there yet, so I'm keeping an eye on João Baptista to see if he's going to take tires or not, because this will be critical for him in his box. If he does, I didn't see him get jacked up at all, so that means he did not take tires. He's back out onto the racetrack with a very quick pit stop, 26 seconds in the pit box, it looks like. Actually pretty long compared to the others. Corey Jones in for 10.5 seconds. Did you see anything I didn't see, Steven?
I'm busy trying to take a look at what on earth went on. Could it be they used a little too much fuel? They opted to put a little bit extra in. They could have fouled up some time. Maybe light damage is picked up throughout the race. But the question is now, it's going to have to fight all the way from 17th position overall and lying just out of the top 10 in the GT Pro class. He needs to try and catch up to Dennis Crosby, but has got a lot of pressure on the back of him. And this is going to be a make-or-break race for him. Can he go hit away and charge back through the field?
Super challenging to come out in this position when you're clearly on a different strategy than those around you. Nobody is getting blue flags for it. You have to brawl out for every single position that you want to get. And here it is, João Baptista battling with the 64, coming through the high chicane, making that move stick, but does that leave Nicholas Paul compromised to Corey Jones in the background? It is not a battle for position in class, but it is a battle for position overall. And it looks like Nicholas Paul is just letting that one go because he's got Philip Kelly in the 77, who he's really got to contend with now.
Each of the drivers starting to look at who they need to fight and who they don't need to fight. This actually starts to show the driver skill and mind frame of what they're doing. Instead of looking towards overall, they start identifying who's the drivers you actually need to take a fight with, who's the pros and who's the pro-ams. Where are you looking to score the points? Because at this stage of the game, you need to start considering who is the viable competition, who's not, who can end your race trying to push way too hard, and it becomes a really big thinking game for these drivers. There's so much going on, and unfortunately, a spinner here goes in as well. And that's Jeffrey Strong.
A huge wreck for Jeffrey Strong. Oh my goodness, let's get a replay of what happened to Strong, because this happened right in front of our race leaders, or provisional race leaders. A lot of moving under braking there, and it looks like the technically gifted team may have just existed there when the 17 was trying to close the gap, and it was just a little too late at that point.
Technically gifted him into the dirt, unfortunately, and now trying to move forward.
That's mean, man.
We got Cole Maddy going and having a bit of fun with Carl Smith chasing down nose to tail as our fight for the GT3 Pro continues on. And I've got to say, it's just absolutely wonderful stuff. But we're starting to see the pit stops coming in, drivers getting themselves sorted out. And how is it all going to work out? How's it all going to shake up? Because as time starts to run out, 28 minutes remain. It is all or nothing for the sharp end of the field. TJ Yankee now waiting to go. And this is the worst because the pit lane is perfect to hear the acoustics of all the engines coming by, ready to go and pass you. You sit there waiting, grinding your teeth before you get let loose. Ensure you release off the pit limiter just right. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with a drive-through penalty for speeding in pit lane, and no one wants to have it this close to the end of the race.
Now, it looks like everybody in that top 10, or excuse me, outside of that top 10, has taken those mandatory pit stops to make fuel to the end of the race. Dennis Crosby a little bit out of position right now, but João Baptista in this battle right now of cars will be the next driver in the lead of the race, provisionally, of course, because he has taken that pit stop. in tow behind Faraz Ibrahim right now and trying to find a way by the damaged McLaren out in front. It's been a long-standing battle, and this is going to be one that should settle itself pretty easily because, again, this one's not for position in class. This one's just for position overall, and, you know, bragging rights do matter.
Well, also point out that Baptista was leading the race at the stage of the game and now looking to try work his way back up through the field and really just trying to think of the long game here. Once you got that taste of being at the top, you don't want to let it go. You want to ensure that you make it right. So clean pass through the McLaren, late onto the anchors for turn 1, carrying a lot of drive through and really attacking the curves. It's quite comfortable in the Mustang, not getting too upset. So it tells me that he hasn't run the car all too low. The rake is not too low on the front. That allows him to have a very pointy car, but a less reactive to every bump that comes with him.
It's really looking good right now for João Baptista to get this undercut to work in his favor. He had a little bit of traffic to contend with early on in this stint, but it looks like Carl Ross and Kyle Smith are going to stay out for the long term. So let's keep an eye on these lap times right now. João Baptista lapping in at 1:41.23. Carl Ross lapping in at 1:41.45. So the lap times going the way of João Baptista. He's doing the work to make this undercut his favorable strategy right now. Very interesting, especially at a track like Imola where the tires can fade away from you and be uncontrollable after a certain point, especially with the new iRacing tire updates that were made.
That's it, and also just to point out, we've got two cars that have got a black flag that they're trying to serve, right of Jesse Chase and Ron Blackwell, going and picking up penalties so early on in the race, and now going to be starting to feel it. Remember, that is time lost and crucial points being lost at the same time. Take a look at Oliver Brooks, who is really going to send it down the inside. Call him Postman Pat. He licked it, he sent it, and got it all in. As Oliver Brooks moving up through the order. What a move. What an outbreaking moment. And my heavens, how on earth did he manage to stop that move?
And don't forget, Oliver Brooks is obviously in the mix as well for P1 in the class, because we have a couple of drivers in front of him that haven't pit yet. Chet Miller still hasn't pit, and Frank Perot, who has pit, could inherit the lead of the race, but is right up the road by only 5.5 seconds right now.
All to play for in the GT3 Pro and GT3 Am, as we do see Carl Smith and Cole Malley pulling into the pits for the GT3 Pro. That's going to help Jed Kotzman and Carl Densham to get a little bit closer for the fight as Jed pulls into the pits. But so many drivers are now taking that crucial final pit stop. The overcut versus the undercut. Who is going to have the run? Carl Ross will lead out the GT3 Pro, but you've got Chet Miller still continuing on. Frank Peralt is also holding on that little bit more. Oliver Brooks is insanely fast at the moment as Chet Miller pulls into pit lane. This is going to be crucial to see whether he holds on to that top spot. Well, we see Baptista is going to keep his foot firmly planted and take over the lead for the GT3 Am.
Let's see where Bautista ends up in the mix right now. He's down 2 at the end of the day with that long 26-second pit stop compared to what Cole Malley and Kyle Smith were able to produce. 20 seconds in the pit box for them and roughly 50 seconds pit lane time compared to 57. João Baptista lost a ton of time just in the transient alone.
So waiting for the opportunity, but take a look. Frank Peralt, Oliver Brooks, they run first and second. Chet Miller managing to get out with third place at hand. And take a look at that stop at 18.8. That means it's just fuel, keeping on the same set of tires. Has he got enough life in those tires to be able to fight his way back through the field? or is he going to start to feel it a little bit later? Carl Ross into pit lane. That's going to allow Carl Smith to go and close up as they fight their way through. Corey Jones on the back of Joe Batista. It is Mustang versus Aston Martin as the screaming V8 take their way around the circuit further up the road. Carl Smith, who is currently in second place, is looking to try and take over the lead of the race, keeping a very close eye on Carl Ross. You can be sure he is focused on that relative to see where Carl's going to come out, as he will get the notice that Carl is leaving pit lane. Can he get close enough to fight for first? It's going to be a mad dash down for the wire between the two of them.
There's Ross. Kyle Smith way far back at this point in time. It was a quick pit stop, 19.9 for Kyle Ross. A big gain for Kyle Smith right now. Unbelievable charge for him. 7 up on the good, right in front of Cole Malley, who's gained 1. João Baptista losing out 2, unfortunately. Corey Jones right where he started in 5th, and it's all mixed up from there.
Don't count out Cole Malley, who has been keeping a very, very close eye on the drivers. And I do want to take a bit of a tip of the hat to our blue flags as they identify who's racing, who's in the race with them, riding out of the way, not going to interfere with any of the faster cars coming through. Something you don't really have to do. You can hold your line, let them pass, but if you are going to be the gentleman to mind out the way, allow the cars to come through, I tip my hat to you, sir. It makes it a little bit easier for everyone.
Little quick replay of what happened to Brendan McCurdy here. It looks like there was a little bit of contact between him and the 007 that sent the 444 Reaper Racing machine around, and he was able to come back on track after that crash.
No damage, but now having to clear the tires definitely makes life a little bit more interesting. And unfortunately, those side-by-sides, when there's just not enough room to play with, you do land up going into the veld, which we get to see. And that is starting to happen a little bit more as the cars are making their way around. Remember, tires are getting old, drivers are getting tired, and now it's that final push. Kobe Brooks trying to gain a position over Owen, who's just running ahead of him in that Chevrolet. Kobe wanting to fight his way by, looking to keep within the slipstream as much as possible, eyeing out for the opportunity. But as the clock ticks down, the red mist will start to take over on these drivers who are looking to maximize their points for round 2. And then it's going to be an absolute race till the very end. Who's got enough in the tank to keep pushing? Who's got enough in the tank to keep giving it their all? And who's got enough grip left to defend and attack around Imola that has so far been cutting these tires down and really causing life to get a little bit more difficult?
It's really just been a battle of attrition. We've said it a million times tonight, but it really is true. Nobody wins at Imola except the track. The same for the Bathurst Mount Panorama. Nobody wins except for the track there. You exchange paint with the walls, of course. It's a rite of passage and an honor to be able to do that at such an historic event. Honored and known for Griffin Bathurst, for which a corner is named after, for which the track was incepted by. Mayor Griffin Bathurst will go down in history as one of the greatest assets to motorsports history.
And can't forget about Hell's Corner, that used to have a big tree in the way before it was subsequently cut down, but that's after it stopped a few motorbikes and cars in the past. But here at Imola, it is still lights out racing. The drivers now trying to deal with the sunset glare coming through. Fun little fact, I don't know if you know about this, because Lamborghinis and Audis have a bit of suede on the front covers, just on the interior of the cars. Do you know why the suede's there, other than looking pretty?
I do not, no sir.
Added weight. Well, they've got essentially a carpet. What does carbon fiber do when light hits it? Reflects. So, add a bit of suede. It looks good in pictures, but it also stops the reflection. And that is a little fun fact that is translated in the sim as well. You won't see as much of a reflection getting pulled through on that. So just a little fun fact with the GT3 cars as they make their way through. And for anyone that wants to know where the gearbox is in a Mercedes or a Ford Mustang, look in the boot. That's where the gearbox is.
That is absolutely great little tidbits of information to know and to cherish about some of the GT3 machinery that we love and care about so much. We get to drive them almost every day or at least weekly in our simulators, and it is just such a great means to access, to have such a great community, to be able to enjoy this together, to be able to drive around the world together and learn these various tracks that the professional drivers are at and measure your skills against one another. Here we are at IMOLA, and let's take a look at the man himself, Kobe Brooks, for a moment, because he's battling for P8 and P7. He's got Faraz Ibrahim in front of him, but let's not forget about the battle between P1 and P2, Frank Perot and Oliver Brooks for the GT3 Pro Am category.
Overall with Carl Smith and Batista running third overall at the moment. Drivers doing everything they can to stay at the sharp end of the field. But Kobe Brooks has been soaking up the pressure from behind and just trying to navigate his way through. The likes of Ibrahim, we do know that car had a little bit of damage early on that was affecting its straight line. Now looking a little bit more put together and in the toe is causing a bit of a problem for Kobe to try and catch up. Philip Kelly, who is the leading Mustang, is just watching his mirrors left and right at the moment, trying to see where will Ibrahim go for the lunge, where will he go for the pass, and if it is to happen, Kobe Brooks is going to most certainly put his nose forward and look to try and get his way past that Ford Mustang as well.
Absolutely. It would just be a healthy buffer between himself and Kobe Brooks behind. Adding another car in this multi-class event is just an icing on the cake for the gap separation as drivers come out of pit lane. That'll be the number 29 trickling out of pit lane, involved in a very early on incident and troubling to see them come down pit road one more time. That's John Voight in that long-legged Lamborghini that we saw so much of early on in this event.
Voight going and serving a drive-through penalty. Unfortunately, not having an easy time out there. Was originally one of our front runners, now just going and seeing it through to the end. But with 14 minutes left and drivers giving it that big final push. If we go back to round one, this is where we saw the wheels come off. This is where we saw drivers giving it that extra little bit of spice in through the corners to try move up through the order. And for Dennis at the moment, who's trying to hold back the GT3 AMs and the GT3 Pros that all mixed around him, he needs to concentrate. Holding on to the 12th place, look to try and catch up to Jack Clark, who's further up the road and looking to get into that top 10. You want to score as many points as possible so early on. It brings the confidence in for the championship of where you can stand at the top.
Absolutely, and speaking of the top, Oliver Brooks and Frank Perot have a little bit of traffic in front of them. They're running 9th and 10th overall, but this is first and second in class, so it's everything on the line between the duo. I told you to watch out for Oliver Brooks before, and here he is, ready for action for the technically gifted number 31. But look at the WCR of Frank Perot in a triple line. Close down the gap on the car in front, just move him out of the way. And will he get in between? No, that is not where you want to exist if you're that Ferrari 296. Right in between two race leaders is just an uncomfortable and awkward position to be in. Let's go ahead and look at Carl Ross and Kyle Smith. The battle for P1 and P2 are separated by just about 4 seconds, but the battle for P2 and P3 separated by just about nothing right now. As we can see, the 03 of João Baptista trying to get back to where he belongs, but he's got Kyle Smith occupying that real estate right now.
Carl Smith slowing it right down on the apexes, forcing Baptista to come a little bit more off the throttle. Baptista taking a lot shallower lines, seeing if he can try and force the nose up onto the inside of this Mercedes. Not quite having the rotation, as they do see smoke in the distance. Unfortunately, one of the cars landing up into the weeds, and it caused a slight liftoff.
Robert Nelson being the driver of that crash in that incident, unfortunately for them. And it looks like they might have left the session, unfortunately. No, I still see Robert Nelson here. They are still running down in 30th position right now. Just to check in with them and to check in as well with this battle right here. Dennis Crosby still leads Faraz Ibrahim and Jean Voigt and Kobe Brooks into this four-way battle. This gaggle of vehicles is bouncing the curbs aggressively as Dennis Crosby is trying to escape the cars behind, but just causes a little bit of a gaggle as Faraz Ibrahim is just sweating like a cow in a burger joint as John Voigt is there in that Lamborghini ready to do some chopping, and here comes the chopping block from Voigt on Ibrahim.
Oh, it's going to be a hard one because Crosby, wherever he looks, he's going to have these fighting duos filling up his mirrors. He's going to be hoping that they argue with each other more and more so he can at least get a bit of breathing room. But the moment they settle into a train, they're right back onto the Mustang and now looking to push as hard as he can. John Voigt not going to be waiting it out now as he tries to close up the distance. Chet Miller runs out a bit wide just to keep it all together. Currently third in the GT3 AM, doing everything possible to maintain his pace. He wants to try and catch up to Oliver Brooks, but at the same time, he does not want to compromise a third place. Last thing you want to do is lose a podium position over a silly mistake, and running 12th overall is no easy effort here in the GT3 class, and especially as a GT3 AM car to go and find it out.
Absolutely true. And I was just thinking, your best bet is to sit back behind Corey Jones and TJ Yankee. You do not want to fight them by any stretch of the imagination, but these gentlemen drivers definitely do as the 29 mounts the curbs coming through the first chicane, and it'll be calm, cool, and collected for John Voigt, but for Dennis Crosby, it'll be sweating galore because he's going off the track, and so is Faraz Ibrahim with Kobe Brooks in tow behind the 99. But it will be smooth and cool runnings for all drivers in this train.
Well, when we buy our tracks on iRacing, we want to use every inch of it. That includes the AstroTurf as well. Quick flash of the lights coming in from the Mustang. Just saying, listen, not too happy on that one, but now needs to keep his head down. Dennis Crosby will be looking in the mirrors, seeing the likes of Ibrahim coming at him left and right. Brooks trying to close up the gap as well, just trying to see where the kink in the armor is. And this is where you've got to really settle down. You got to think about what you're going to do and move forward. But Dennis Crosby with a black flag, and unfortunately that is for reaching incident limits and will have to serve a drive-through penalty.
Oh, that is just absolutely gutting for that driver, Dennis Crosby, getting the short end of the stick on this one. Christopher Adams going toe-to-toe and blow for blow with Jesse Chase right now. And it'll be Chase bounce the curb coming through the first chicane and maybe getting a little bit of floor damage there. Definitely getting a slowdown for the driver. Now running in 28th overall, but 13 in class. And with that livery, that's first place in my heart.
There we go. You can't say no to the Neon Cat. It's just radiating positivity. But back up, we got Ibrahim trying to keep it all together at the moment. Has got the likes of Cosby up and likes of Kobe Brooks on the back, trying to chase down that Porsche. Is insanely quick through the corners, but just not as efficient under braking compared to the McLaren, having to really just dial it in that little bit more. And after going and dispatching the Mustang, now need to focus on the drive. For Ibrahim, it is all about keeping the momentum. 7th in class. And now with Kobe Brooks looking to try and capitalize and take it away from him, he's going to have to really focus on what he needs to do. 19 seconds adrift of Philip Kelly in 6th place. So this is where you've just got to focus on holding your position instead of going on the attack. But mounts the curbs, get it out of shape. Here comes Kobe Brooks, got the drive on the inside through the right-hander, gets it done and dusted. And unfortunately for Ibrahim, now having to do everything he can to bring it back, but also has got a black flag for track limit succeeded, and that is going to be a drive-through as well.
Oh my goodness, that, oh my, it's just gutting. In the final 7 minutes of the stage, you get a black flag for incident limits. Oh man, it's just never what you want to see. Coming into the final few minutes of the race is just absolutely gutting. Here's Frank Perot leading Oliver Brooks, the lead for the GT3 AM category. Oliver Brooks 7/10 back, but traffic giveth, traffic is taken away from this duo. And for right now, the 999 of Frank Perot has got the advantage over Oliver Brooks. And if you're Oliver Brooks, I think you're pretty happy with the +1 in the category, +4 overall for the night. You can leave the Canadian B for now, barring any mistakes or any gifted opportunities, let's call them. But I wouldn't punch a gift horse in the mouth, that's for sure.
And another big thing coming in, Corey Jones, who is 10th in the GT3 Pro, was having a stellar race. Unfortunately, drive-through penalty as well. So Corey Jones will drop out of that top 10 and losing a lot of time. That's going to allow Chet Miller to get on by. But it is a race for the ages here as Roberto Perez trying everything he can on Cole O'Malley. Need to fight it out. Sorry, that's Jed Cotterman who is on the back of Roberto Perez as they fight their way for 5th position in through the smoke. They do see a bit of a problem ahead of them. Slow going car, quick flash of lights saying, come on, go and get past. Clears one of our back markers just before getting into the chicane, going and ramping the cars over. Drivers are pushing harder and harder, getting a little bit more desperate and utilizing every inch of the circuit. They've got to be so careful not to push it too far and get these cars too unsteady. You want to try and at least keep 3 out of the 4 tires connected to the road, not having 2.
Yeah, it's very interesting to get down to this stage of the race and think about, you've come this far, what level of risk are you willing to take to get these positions done? Obviously, getting around Owen Huffington was one margin of risk for them to have to manage and for them to have to get through. But now that it's free and clear sailing, the next driver up the road is going to be Keon Maduro, and he's 3 seconds now up the road. If you're Jed Cotterman, are you going to be on the attack with 4 to go?
Well, with Jed Cotterman, I suspect he is just going to focus on attack, attack, attack. Go for that top 5. You don't want to miss it out just by 200ths of a second. You want to be right in for the fight. Jed Cotterman has gone right to the top more than once. So he wants that Chevrolet getting past the Porsche as quick as possible. You can see how aggressive he's attacking the corners, trying to get right underneath that rear wing, looking for any opportunity to force Roberto into a mistake at this point. And just got to be careful with those track limits. He's flirting with it lap after lap after lap. Last thing you want to do is walk away with a drive-through with 3 minutes to go in this race and ensuring that you will drop completely out of that top 5. Roberto at the moment soaking up the pressure, not worrying about the rearview mirrors. He is staying this course. He's staying on the racing line, not taking super defensive moves, and just focusing on entrances and apexes.
It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. As we all know the saying, Roberto Perez is just driving his line right now. This last lap around was a 142.19 compared to a 142.50. He doesn't have to worry about Jed Cotterman if he keeps on putting down lap consistency like that. Jack Clark is chasing down Brennan McCurdy right now in the battle for 14th and 15th overall. They're battling for positions overall, not positions in class right now. We'll stay on board with this battle between Roberto Perez and Jed Cotterman, because this could have championship implications when it comes down to the wire.
Further up the road, you got Batista and Marvin, who are having a brawl for third place overall. But one mistake from them will give these two an opportunity to go for the final stop on the podium. So there's just little battles, silos all around the circuit of drivers giving it that final push for the last 1 minute and 50 seconds, folks. That is all it takes. 1 minute and 50 seconds to cement yourself in legacy, to walk away maximizing the points, or leave the circuit scratching your head thinking, what else could I have done? For Jeffrey Strong, who's got a black flag drive-through penalty, he is going to be going and re-looking at the race thinking, what could I have done to make it better? What could I have done to stay in for the fight? Roberto now needing to get past the likes of Maduro ahead, who will be a blue flag car, diving into pit lane to allow the drivers through, and that is going to be Roberto taking the beads of sweat off his head. Whew. All right, time to refocus and re-arm.
Refocus, rearm, re-engage with the enemy, because Jed Cotterman definitely wants to get back to where he feels like he belongs. He's down 3 positions on the good for the night. Started in 3rd, now running in 6th. A driver that's definitely had pace in the qualifying session, but things just didn't go his way when it came down to it. The number 7 of Jed has been running very well tonight. Haven't seen him involved in many incidences as he tries to go around the outside at Tosa, and that leaves you on an unfavorable line up the here towards Piratella, and the 33 now immediately goes defensive on the run up the hill, showing that he doesn't want to give way here. Sparks are flying from the titanium plates below these vehicles as they bottom out, coming through Piratella, and now the run down into Aqua Minerale. This is the aggressive line I was talking about, using as much of the curbing as possible. And on the exit, same thing. Jed goes to the outside line, 33 holds the inside, but now covers off the run from Jed in the Corvette. He's a monster, he's a menace, he's the number 7 of Jed Cotterman, and he wants that position.
All or nothing, down to the final lap, folks. It's
Also,
a final push.
Also battle for P3 up ahead as well between João Baptista and Cole Malley, going side by side through turn 1. Down the pit straight away we go. The Ford Mustang is going to hold the line, but it's going to be a drag, and just 2,000 separate them at the end of the night. João Baptista in 3rd in front of Cole Malley when the checkered flag crosses the line. Holy Toledo.
Roberto managing to hold on to that top 5, with Jed Cotterman finishing up in 6th position, but we are still waiting for our leader of our GT3 AM, and Frank is going to be happy going and opening up the distance. 1.5 seconds. Frank Peralt going and getting the victory here at Imola for the GT3 AM, ahead of Oliver Brooks and Chet Miller, but Nicholas Paul on the last lap gets a drive-through penalty and will fall down the order out of the top 6. There's Chet Miller. He's happy about taking the final spot on the podium. We got Brennan McCurdy will finish up in 4th. Philip Kelly in 5th place. Nicholas Paul gonna be kicking himself. Last lap, last run, drive through to go and deal with that. Unfortunately, dropping him out of that top 6 and will be scratching his head. Kobe Brooks in 7th position. We wait to see official results of where everyone ends up. But man, oh man, what a race, what a drag race, and what a finish between Baptista and Marley. I mean, that is just mental of how close it came down to. It was who was going and bumping the car forward to see who can be at the top of the pack.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, Steven, but I had to as the checkered flag was flying there. We had to look at the battle for the podium. It was quite ruthless, like you said, bumping and banging, exchanging paint galore. biggest takeaway from the night is something that we talked about earlier on in the broadcast with Kobe Brooks. This was quite possibly one of the larger grids I've ever seen at IMOLA, other than endurance races, 24-hour races barring it, obviously. But the cleanest race I've ever seen at IMOLA. A few minor incidences due to accidents. I will truly call them accidents. Other than that, the racecraft was so phenomenal and on point tonight. It just blew my mind time after time as the drivers go ahead and burn it down.
Absolutely. The respect between drivers, the respect between teams, and now the zero respect to the tires as they absolutely leave down the 11s, give us a couple of donuts, and in usual Breaking Bad limits, it's all about just leaving it all out on the circuit, no matter what. Man, oh man, that was incredible, incredible race. And congrats to all drivers. Congrats to the winners of each class. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's go for round 3 right now. Let's go and have some fun yet again.
Have you got enough fuel in your tank for something like that, brother? Are you ready to go rumble already?
Oh, yes. After seeing the racing here, I'm ready to go and listen to the symphony all over again and see the fights over and over here at Breaking Bad. I mean, why not? It's GT3 racing. It's close racing. It's fair. It's respectable. And you get some incredible battles. But with that being said, I see you've got a, interview lined up with Carl Ross, who won our Pro Division.
Carl Ross, what a race, not only in your class, in your division, but just overall. The racecraft was excellent. Give us your perspective driving the number 4 Corvette to victory tonight for Reaper Racing.
Well, I'm new this season to this league, and I was very nervous first time at Monza. Didn't know what I was coming up against. Realized there's some quick guys in here, so put down a lot of practice and just tried my best.
Now, you definitely performed at your best. You're no slouch at iRating or iRacing yourself. You're rated at 1.9K. That's quite decent in my opinion. Now, all this practice and preparation, how did you manage with all the traffic and some of the wheel-to-wheel battles that you had to contest with tonight?
I just tried to take it slow, one lap at a time, just keep pace as best as I could.
It seemed to go your way, Carl. Now, is there any part of your race that you wish went better or anything that you wish went maybe a little bit more right?
I think it went pretty good overall. I'm still trying to get rid of the nerves. I think that's the main thing. Once I settle into the league, get comfortable, I'll be performing better, hopefully.
Hopefully we all settle our nerves down after we get a couple under our belts. I get nervous in the broadcast booth myself, but thank you very much for joining us in the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. Really appreciate you, Carl Ross. Now, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or anybody you'd like to thank tonight before we finally wrap you up?
Oh yeah, I want to thank Jed for putting this league on and letting me drive in it. I want to thank all the drivers out there for keeping it clean and just putting a good race on. And I want to thank my team, Reaper Racer, for coming out and supporting me, and you guys for hosting it. It was a great race, and I'm just happy to be here.
Right on. Thank you so much, Carl Ross, for joining me in the broadcast booth. Have a great night, and as always, stay safe out there.
You too. Thank you.
And
Carl Ross a bit worn out after that drive, and well, from a mighty drive to the very end. It's always a tell with the sim races. You think you're just sitting in a rig and that's it. There's no real physical effort. Man, you will be mistaken. The concentration and physicality of sim racing catches everyone out. You can just hear, he's worn out. He's happy. He got it to the line and took the victory for the pro class and took victory for overall. I mean, that is just mental to think about.
Yeah, I mean, to be new to a league is one thing. To take a victory in that same league is completely something else. Carl Ross really came out tonight, showed up and showed out. Really phenomenal run for him at the end of the day. Phenomenal stuff for the number 4. But that's going to wrap things up for us here tonight from the Racers Nexus broadcast booth. Now, Stephen Koenig, any big takeaways or any big moments that you'd like to highlight from the night?
Honestly, my biggest takeaway I want to talk about is how clean the racing is. Fast and fierce, but for 2 laps, there was no big incidents at Imola, which is known for anyone that races any sim at Imola. You know you're going to be landing in the dirt. This league has shown clean, fast, fierce, and friendly racing, but I can't wait to see who's going to be moving forward in the championships because, well, Oliver Brooks going down the order for the Pro-Am is going to be doing everything he can to claw back. Round 3 is going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see who's going to be able to take the advantage, who's going to be taking the momentum forward to go and score the points, because this championship is not done yet, and every single driver is looking to capture every single point.
As they say, it's only just begun. But for now, it is time. The witching hour has come upon us. We have to close out the stream. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Thank you very much for staying tuned. I want to thank Kobe Brooks one more time for sponsoring tonight. Really appreciate him. And check out Technically Gifted for all of your needs, mental health wise, or just getting engaged in your community. It really is an amazing app to check out. Thank you so much to him for keeping the lights on for the Breaking Bad series. And of course, our title sponsor for the night, Maxim Motorsports, for your go-kart racing needs, for engine building, tuning, dyno services, on-track support, and driver coaching. Look no further than Maxim Motorsports. Thank you so much for your love and support tonight. Really appreciate it. It goes a long way if you guys give the video a like and subscribe. This has been our race tonight at the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari for week 2 for Breaking Bad Pushing Limits. I've been Sagar Bakshi. Joining me in the booth has been Stephen Koenig. The track cameras have been brought to you by Track Cameras by Gourmet and Apex Sim Racing. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And as always, make sure you stay safe out there. Bye-bye for now.